helping you with Acorn and RISC-OS computing.
16 million should be non-pink. There we are, non-pink. Quite why it does that in 64,000, I don't know. My mouse has obviously just slipped a little bit. Anyway, I'm Peter Richmond. So we've got a few different people looking in, which is good. And what we're going to have a look at is Draw, which is something I thought I knew how to use 25 years ago, but obviously didn't. So if we have a look at Draw and how to draw. Sounds like something we'll do. Let's have a look at this. Right, so I'm using this on RPCM. I don't know if you have a look down the bottom. It doesn't actually tell you that. So there's only one or two functions that don't work on this, but let's see. Some of the things you might want to be happy with. Function keys F1 through to my favourite two, F8 undo and F9 redo. Don't know if a lot of people knew that Draw did that, so that's quite useful. And something, while we had a bit of fun trying to work out how do we do all the F keys, and I was using a laptop, and of course the F keys do Windows things because I'm using a Windows laptop. So I plugged in an external keyboard, so should be able to do most of the things as if I was using a real Acorn RISC-OS machine. So some of the things, if you've got the RISC-OS Users Guide, it says a big book there. This is RISC-OS 3, so it's quite an old one. There's things for zooming in and zooming out, which are quite useful. And I don't know how many people are quite used to using the right mouse or select button. Right click is quite useful for selecting and deselecting items, and 2D scrolling, so going up and down and left and right at the same time, and also keeping menu trails in Draw. So that's just some of the things we'll be having a look at. But basically, I'm going to start with something that fooled me for ages. How to draw a straight line. Now, that sounds really easy, doesn't it? Now, in some drawing programs, you're actually constrained to drawing a straight line anywhere. So that's the top left one there, which you're probably all familiar with. And that is a straight line, but it's not a horizontal one. And how do you guess it's horizontal? Well, you click it, you hope, and it's not. So one of the things I will do, I'll just select that. And this is a useful way of selection. If you left click drag over any part of a straight line, it should get you the whole thing. And then you can go to the styles. And we use a line width of 1, so you should be able to see it on the screen. So you can see that's not horizontal, which is my favourite thing for doing this. And it's a bit like Star Wars. You know, we say, use the Force, Luke. Well, the answer is in Draw, use the grid. So what we'll do, we'll go to grid, we'll show it, we'll lock it, and we'll keep it in centimetres, because that gives you a much finer degree of shuffling around. So if we, well, I'll do one of my things now. If we presses it, let's look now, F8, we should be able to go back one. And that line no longer exists. So that went through all the steps that we did to make that line. So if now try the line thing again, just pick any point, you've got a guaranteed horizontal line. Sounds far too easy, doesn't it? And similarly, if you choose any of the others, you get a vertical line. Now, one of the things, I don't know if people use Draw quite a bit or not, I've found it quite useful. If you've got something you think is useful, find it and stick it in the corner. So we selected that line there. What we could do, this is the fun thing about selecting lines in Draw. Yes, missed it again. I will get it eventually. Just hide it way up the top somewhere, which I've not managed to do either. Heck, the joy of trying to do stuff live. So you can see we can just push it out of the way, and similarly drag selector box around that. And if I get it right again, not very good at this, obviously. Finger trouble with going live. No. Convincingly not doing it. Oh, flaming heck. Anyway, you get the idea that you can put things up. And if we use the F8 again, we can go backwards and see what we did with all this lot. played around with a lot. So that's just something to do. So similarly, you can do this with text. So just to type my favorite text or something from the keyboard. Unfortunately, Draw starts off with the non-vector text. So if I zoom that up, that will be horrible because it's a bitmap text. So what we need to do with that is go and select a style, and anything other than the system font will be in fact a non-bitmap style, so it'll scale up nicely. So we'll just use Overton Bold. Now I've clicked using the right mouse button, which has kept all the menu items in order there. So now I can go and use the font size as well. We'll try 20, and it's nothing fantastic, but if you're going to label a lot of things, what you can do, you can just select, duplicate a number of these, like that, and then what you can do to get any one of them, select it and edit it to make some sort of sense. So let's have some sense. And so you can see, you could also do this in a number of different styles. So say I chose a different style, I can use one of these as where I start off from. And let's say we used Homerton, didn't we? So let's use New Hold, and we use New Hold, and we use medium italic. And that's quite a different font style. But again, you could have those ready to copy to label things up in different parts of your drawings. So we've got vertical lines, got horizontal lines. Can we draw a circle? Well, if you don't use the grid, the answer is no. So let's go to the circle. Just choose any one of these. And it's fairly easy to see. I don't know if you can actually see the blue dots actually on the screen for the grid, but that's a circle. Now, say we wanted to make a bigger circle, but not a lot bigger. How could we guarantee to do that? If we use the grid, let's just try over here. Yes, we were in circle mode there, but that's not a circle. So we'll delete that. So let's try again. And now I've just gone to the pointer. So let's make a bigger circle. So it's quite easy to make a circle that's reasonably bigger. But if we're trying to do one in between those two, how could we do that? Well, we can select any one of these, and there's actually a scale factor we can use. So now, that's where I'm trying to remember it. Yes, it's transform an X scale. If we use it 1, it's going to be the same size as it is. So we'll use 0.85. And that's made an ellipse because we need to select both of them and transform them to both 0.85. So we want the Y scale to be 0.85 as well. So, 0.85. And now, of course, we lost the size of the original because I should have kept that. So let's just make another big one. So back to there. Right, so we've definitely got 3 circles of different sizes. Now, one of the things we can also do, if we draw a bounding box around them, we can select them all. Still need to could have used the select all command up at the top there. But if we use group, that then lets us do some other things. So let's have a look. Select, and it is justify down the bottom here. And it took me ages to get to it. So if we use bottom, we'll see they all go to the bottom of the bounding box. Middle will all be centered that way. Top, they're centered that way. Right will be fun. So now you have overlapping circles. If we used center and middle, we would have concentric circles, which would not be easy to draw by yourself, we can safely say. So right, we'll just bounce all out of all that lot. Now, one of the other things you might often want to do is use clip art if you're no good at drawing, which Admittedly, most of us probably aren't. Let's get some clip art. So, got transport coming up. So, got the amount of transport here. So what shall we have? Let's have a bus. And I think we'll get rid of the grid for the moment. So that's F1. As long as we select the drawing, that might help. There we are, got rid of it now. So if we go back to that, we'll select the bus. And you can do, as in most RISC-OS stuff, you can just do drag and drop. Now, the thing you have to watch out, if you're trying to fit 2 items from clip art, deselect the one that's on your drawing area. So I'm going to have the transit as well. Let's have the transit. And we're going to have the motorbike, which is up the top there. Okay. Now, as you can see, they're all completely the wrong size compared to what they should be to each other. So we'll leave the bus at the same size it is. We'll get the motorbike. Drop it down a lot. Now, we're saying about the scale, we could just do what I'm going to do now, pick a corner and have a guess at the aspect ratio. And I'm not too bad at guessing this, and sometimes it doesn't matter too much. So of course we just pick the corner up again. Which, there we are. But we still want it a bit smaller than that, I think. So that's probably that for that. And transit, we're going to guess maybe something like that. So we've put all those together in a line-ish. That's probably something like the relative sort of things. Maybe a little bit bigger for the motorbike. Let's do that. No, I think I'm still on grid lock. Yeah, that was part of the problem. So sometimes you don't want the grid lock on, and this is one of those cases because we're just using a free-form scaling. Now, of course, that could be your average traffic jam, but we want to do something a little bit different. We want to turn the bus around. So if you select the bus, you might be going, well, how can we keep the aspect ratio the same? It's in a transform thing. So go to transform, X scale, reduce something to that. We'll just make it -1. Our bus will do a quick turnaround. There we are. So that's fairly useful. So we've got that and that. Now, one of the things we can do, if you just draw a rectangle, like so, and then fill it in. Let's see, what color shall we use? Style, fill color. Let's have a something like that. Maybe not so pink. I'm not the greatest user of the color picker. If you know any better how to do it, please tell me. Let's have that. Still pinky. Bit more yellow. Let's have that. So, style, fill color, and we just select it all. This is my favorite hobby, to get it wrong. And press OK, always useful. So now our bus has disappeared behind the wall, and we could have transit in front of it. Except this is where we need to know about layers. So we can guess that the wall we've chosen is a layer in front of the bus, but where we've put the transit, it's ended up behind. So we've still got the bounding box there where we left it. So what we need to do is select it and put it to the front. Right, so now we've our transit to the front, so that's a bit better. Now, how do we change shapes? This is a big wall. Could we make it into an angled wall? Well, let's select it and see what we can do. If we just pull the corner, that'll just rotate it. So what we need to do is actually not transform it. We need to enter something else, I think. Let's have a look. this is where I sometimes forget all the menus. And if you have a look, you can see there are a lot of menus coming off menus. It's just reminded me of something else, actually, while we're here. One other thing. Sorry? You can use rotate, yeah. Yeah, I was actually going to change the shape of it. I'm going to draw something else in between. The other thing I always had problems with was drawing arrows. And arrows sound like they'd be easy to do. And they're in there somewhere. What you need to do is draw a line, like so. Then reselect it. And it's an option that's fantastically hidden away as far as I'm concerned. It's style, end cap, triangle, and I think now what the numbers I chose for the width of 4, I think is okay for my arrows, and a height of 8. And there we are. Then a nice arrow. So I mean, we could label our transit whatever. We can get one of these from there already, and then just edit, select, edit, and type it as transit. So you can see, using clip art and just a few bits and bobs, you can start to make some sense out of things. Now, one of the things you might have noticed is that transit wheels have ended up the same colour as our wall there, which is not really what we want. So we'll have a look at zooming in. Now there's some control things for this. Control and W will zoom in. So let's see. That's not done a bad job. And obviously using the scroll bars, we can get it to where we want it. Now what we want to do is have a look at the wheels. So I'll have to select and ungroup. And we have lots of stuff ungrouped. Can we get the wheels by themselves? Yes, we can. So we'll drag it down there. So we can see it's all sort of see-through. Or we've just got outlines of things. If we look at the wheel on the left here, but we actually want a black wheel. So we need to select and ungroup this lot. Right, so the tyre itself should be black. Or as Ruth was suggesting yesterday while we were trying this out, how's about dark grey? I can't put the mud on it, but we'll try that. So the fill colour of fairly dark grey. So I presume the tyres are a bit worn. Now that's done everything, hasn't it? So what we need to do then is get the centre bit, select it, and style, a fill colour of probably white, which is the nearest to silver we have. That's good. And if we can select the next one, yeah, let's have a yellowish colour. Presume it's so now I've got a sensible coloured wheel. So that wasn't too tricky. So if we draw a bounding box around that, that'll select all. Select group, got a wheel, but we need 2 wheels, so we'll select it and duplicate it. We'll do a bit of a cheat. If we put one of the wheels back where it was, around about that, if we're clever enough.
Up a bit.
Left a bit, there we are. We've got all the wheels there, so now the fun bit is, can we do all the transit again?
I think the suspension's gone on that transit.
Well, it depends how you're driving. Yeah, well, if you've got to be like that, you reckon wants to go up a bit. That'll go on there. Let's stick it up a bit. If you're not careful, though, it won't fit in the wheel arch properly. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So, now this is where the fun comes. Because we haven't got that background there, we can't easily select everything on the transit, so we'll cheat. We know where it goes-ish. And now we've put a bounding box around the transit. And right-click to ignore the arrow, then select and group all that lot. Right, we should have our transit back, and let's see if it comes back in the right place. Yes, it does. So there we are. So you can see that we've now managed to do that. Now I want to go back out again. So that's Control and Q. And that does it in steps to whatever makes some sense, as we wrote at the top there. Now I was going to alter this, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Do we need to transform it? No. Select it. Now we need to edit it, don't we? Somewhere or another. Edit, that's it. Now if you don't edit on an object, you end up with a bounding box of just blue squares. Now what you need to do, remember while you're doing this, is always use the right mouse button, the adjust button. So if I do this, I can adjust that and quite easily. Now when I let go, it goes back to all the properties it had before. So what we'll do, we'll move the transit down a bit from that, I think. And then obviously we need to move the arrow for that. Now we get the motorbike, and now we'll rotate the motorbike by using the top ear of that and make it go up a hill. So you can see how we can easily change lots of things from clip art and make something not fantastic, but you can see how you could build up a much bigger picture. Right, I'm now going to do something from scratch, which will show lots of copying and other things that we've been doing. So let's take that one in the bin. Oh, we'll just use backwards and see how far we go, because I know with draw as you get it, you can undo a certain number of K of memory as being preset. I can't remember where it is, but I do know you can change that. So if you just do the undo backwards, we'll see how many things we can actually get to undo. So move the motorbike a bit, choose the transit, move that, move the transit up and down, put that up and down. Yeah, and now it's come to the end. So you can see, depending on the complication thing of a transit had quite a lot of objects in it. That's come to the amount we can go backwards. But nicely, we can redo it all. So we can export the picture back if we really wanted to. Which is quite nice. So if you'd not saved something, you're sort of saved from not saving a little bit. Right. So hope you found that useful. I'm going to make, no, don't even need that bit. I'm going to start from absolutely scratch and draw a flower. Now, if you're not good at drawing flowers, welcome to the club. So I'm going to need all the help we get. So I'm going to put the grid back on. I'm going to show it, I'm going to lock it, and we're in centimeters, which is fairly useful. So what we're going to do is use what's that one there, which is the closed loop with curves, I think. It's the nearest I can give it. So let's try that. Now this is where I got it wrong last time, I think. Yeah, we can do that. And if we do that one, probably need to go a bit further down. Yeah. Not brilliant, but that could be a petal for a flower, couldn't it? So let's have a look. Let's give it a sensible line thickness. Start line with 1. Now we want to give this some sort of different colours and things, so we can see it like a normal flower. So what we'll do, we'll select and duplicate it. X and Y scale it a little bit. So let's try 1.2. Yeah, that's a fair bit better. And 1.2 for that. Okay. I might be able to put a 1.1 in between, so we'll duplicate that. Duplicate the first one, sorry, and transform 1.1 in both X and Y. Ah, rats. I forgot to duplicate it, didn't I? My favourite hobby. So, now I've got it duplicated. So, let's have a look at the three sizes. I mean, this is part of the problem. Yeah, we've got two the same. We need to make that a 0.1 now. I do apologise for this. This is doing things live for you, isn't it? Transform. So let's make that 0.9. And the same with the Y scale. So we should have three different sizes. Now we need to colour them in. So let's try style, fill colour. Let's go for black. Fill colour, yellow. Blue. Some for blue. Right, now we're going to use the power of the grid again. So if we select all these three items and group them and justify to the bottom, and now this is where I have to remember, justify to the center. Right, now one's hidden behind the other due to our layers, so let's have a look. So I want to possibly select the biggest one and make it go to the back. It was at the back. So it's the yellow one at the back. Now this can be the fun sometimes with this. So let's choose the smallest one, which is not easy to do if you've chosen the biggest one. Right, we're going to have to separate them. Just bear with us a sec. Select ungroup. Yeah, come on now. Pick a one, any one. Right. There we go. So now we need to put that to the front. And I've put this one to the front. And now if we do select, need to group them, don't we? So we need to select all of them. Now we need to do the alignment. So justify to bottom and center. And that's something like a petal. I'm going to argue. So we've got a petal, but you need more than one, don't you, to make a flower. So what we'll do, we'll select it, duplicate it, and transform it, rotate it by 90. And you might be able to see where I'm going with this one, or not, depending on how well we do this. And what we want to do is get those two sort of points to be somewhere in the middle. Now you can do this by eye if you want, but depending on how we set the scales up and what, yeah, you can nudge it around. I'm going to take the grid off and just do it by eye to some extent. So let's have a look. We want the grid not locked. Now I'm trying to remember, we use shift, adjust, drag, which is an interesting one. So Shift and an adjust drag around there. That will zoom in a long way to see how close we are with those two. So pick any one of them. We can see where we'd want them to be. I think that's going to be something like it. And then if we go back to 1-to-1, use Control and D, he said. It might do it in bits. Oh, what we're doing? No, that's duplicated it. Let's go back a few then. So that would be F8. Right, let's just use a standard, because it's selected an item. So we'll just go back to 1-to-1 there. It's gone up to 8-to-1, which is more than we want. Right, so if we select those two and group those, you can probably see where I'm going with this one. Select and duplicate. And rotate. Rotate. 180. And get that, and then with a bit of circling about, do the same thing again, and align those, because I'm not doing it accurately, because it takes too long. We'll assume that's something like that. Select all those, group all that lot together, and then duplicate that, and transform by rotating it 45 degrees, isn't it? You can see with a bit of manipulation, I say I'm not doing this fantastically accurately. You've got a flower. If you were keen, you put a bit in the middle, make another little circle. And what we'll do, we'll make that black. There we go. That's not too bad a flower, is it? I don't think. So we can see if you use a lot of rotation and transformation and things like that, you can make objects that are symmetrical reasonably easy, but you do need to use the grid quite a bit to actually get that going along. Now, I'm trying to think, what else do we use draw for? Right. Have we got any questions from anybody so far? You'd have to unmute yourself to ask. No?
Have you used a bit of software called MakeDraw?
No, I haven't, but I am aware of it, and that would do things like this for you, yes, to some extent. Yeah, I think that's it. Rosemary Miskin's software, that one, MakeDraw. I know there's a few different ones, add-ons you can get. I know in past issues of the WROCC, I think have shown, yes, MakeDraw, I think is Mary Miskin, is it? Mrs. Miskins,
Oh,
I think it's
MakeDraw originated in New Zealand, and
oh, right.
The chap who did it, I think, only had 2 people register for it as
Right.
shareware, and one of them was me. And I've been developing it since then.
Oh, have you? Right. There we are. Some background knowledge there, always useful. So Chris is your man, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I'm sure there are lots of. We know there are lots of different add-ons for this. There's Draw Perspective is one of the things I've seen, and obviously there are different programs. One of the things that you notice I was struggling with a bit sometimes was the layers aspect of Draw, whereas I think Draw Plus, and there's another one, I can't remember which way around they went, that you could select layers a bit like you do in artworks, but of course much cheaper than artworks. And then with all the which ones was it? Aaron Timbrell's Software ISV. He did a lot of DrawWorks New Millennium and things like that. Now, whether they all work under 5.3 or anything like that, I don't know, because I've not tried them. But I know they added a lot of different features, taking a draw and converting it to, I don't know, a TIFF or something like that. So yeah, there are lots of different things out there without going all the way up to artwork. So it's a matter of what sort of things you're doing. Right. Now, one of the things I did, and it's a useful thing, let's find out. I want a utility of PDFs. Now, I don't know how many people are familiar with this. I know some of you will be. If you've got a PDF, let's have a look at that one. Right. So I used to work at a major northern university. One of the things we always have problems with in my department was finding your way around, because basically we effectively have the run of most of the university. And of course, you're trying to teach someone where everything was. It'd be useful to know which rooms we dealt with and which ones we didn't deal with. And we can see we've got a PDF here. But one of the options is to save the page as a draw file. So in fact, what I did with some of these, this drawing we can see at the moment here, originally was a PDF. I saved it out as a draw file, and then I've added some things, as you may have guessed. I've put room numbers over there. All the rooms originally were grey, apart from a certain number, but not the ones I've chosen. And I've added some rooms over here that were ours, because basically this is just a ground floor layout. There's separate, I'm not going to on this particular one, that I've separated out just this particular floor and then shown how we get to 2 rooms on the second floor there, one on the 4th floor, and some other rooms that we've got. So it's quite useful facility. That's in, now let's see whose this is, because I know I've got, yeah, it's the Chris Granson and Colin Granville, Leo Smears and Derek Newberg. So that's a 2017 version, but I think it's been the same all the time for this PDF, which I think started around about the 2000s, maybe even earlier than that, I can't remember. But being able to save out as a draw is quite useful, and there are some programs which will then let you save back to the draw. So that's one I modified. That is this one the original one? Let's have a look. Nope, that's mine again. So it's probably that one. Yeah. So just to scale these a little bit, and then you can see what the differences are. So put those side by side-ish. You can see generally what I've been doing. Let's find this. So you can see there's just a general layout there. And what I've added over here, let's a bit. There were 4 floor rooms on the lower ground, which I've added, which came from, yeah, round about that entrance there. I've added, there's a corridor with some doors there, and the lift, and 2 rooms that are ours, and another one that isn't, that joins up, and all these over here. So I've got this one. If we'd done the save as draw, let's just do that. I'll put that down to the RAM disk. If we open that up, and it behaves, you can see this is now all draw. So if I select anything, you can see I can select separate items. Some are grouped, some are not. I think all the text, yeah, is letter by letter, which is quite bonkers. So it doesn't do it like draw does. It doesn't keep it all as one separate, one whole sentence or block. But what you can do, let's just pull that off there. Yeah, so we had basically any of the rooms that were going to be ours, we wouldn't want the grey bit in. So we can just select that, delete it, put the room back effectively, get the right positioning. And then what we do, we'd number it. So let's choose a style, text. Use our favourite home button. We use medium. And we'll guess at 14. And stick in there. So there's a room near there, G42. We'll guess this might be G40. 440 in my case, and it needs to be in capitals anyway. So you can see that, we could easily renumber things that were of interest to us and change rooms, because basically a lot of these rooms were the original PDF that they gave us. It was for open days, so they're using certain rooms that were useful for doing certain presentations in different departments. But we didn't necessarily have all those rooms. So you can see here there's a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. And in our drawing, we've only got 3 of those. We've got 1, 2, 3. So go back to there. They got the 5. But we didn't have use of those 2 rooms there. So we just had those 3. So it's quite useful for us to use an existing PDF, put it into Draw, monkey around with it a bit, maybe take away and add some bits, and then resend it out so people can find the way they're along the university. And I believe that's quite a useful thing to do with PDFs that people think are locked. I think none of them are locked under this system. If you use RISC-OS, you've automatically unlocked a PDF. And of course, there is different software to make PDFs. Again, depending on what you want to do. Obviously, if you wanted to print it out, you didn't have software like that, you could just do a grab of it, make it a big sprite, and then print it out. And if you've chosen the right scaling, that'd be fine. I don't think anybody would notice. So that's a useful add-on. I think the other PDF thing I've used recently is MuView, and that doesn't save out as draw files. So you'd have to use this one here to do the draw files. Now, let's see. I think one of the things that people might have a problem with nowadays is actually finding clip art. Luckily, I've got quite a number of discs that were PD discs at the time. So I'm just going to put some things on here to show you what sort of level. And you can see if I've not deselected something, the next one in overwrites the one that's there. So let's get this man and ungroup him, which could be interesting. I think we can probably take his coat off. Yes, that was drastic. He becomes Mr. Nobody because he doesn't have a body. But you can see how, if you wanted to play around, let's see, loses his trousers. But it shows also how people have grouped things. And now if we're using being clever, we could use undo and redo, couldn't we? Put all these clothes back properly, or not, depending. And again, I think we've reached a limit on how many kilobytes we're given over to that, because obviously that's got a number of different elements in there. If we select and ungroup that lot, yeah, you can see there's a lot of different sections to make up the shading and curves and things like that. So, as I say, there is a setting somewhere within Draw. I think it's probably one of these. They do a little star command somewhere and say, set the cache for undo buffer to be, bigger than it is at the moment. So it's a bit surprising, really, that that's not being done on newer versions of RISC-OS just as a default, because it's such a useful thing to have an undo. As far as I'm aware, I think it's one of the few programs that has an undo under RISC-OS. Everything else is, you are stuck. Anyway, let's go back and have a look at some of the things. Oh, right, now because we've separated him out, we've not overlaid him. Let's get rid of those bits there. That's there. So you can see some things aren't necessarily tricky to draw. That looks reasonably easy. It's rectangles. It's just the curves for the chord that are tricky. Whereas this one, I wouldn't like to trying to draw a dog. Yeah, so you can see why people would use clip art. Whereas this car isn't actually a fantastic one. It's just a generic sort of car. Whereas this one is quite a good one, from what I remember. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a Land Rover.
Yes. Yeah, but you have to admit that's a pretty good drawing, however they've done it, isn't it? Especially because it's in
the cars are rubbish.
Yeah, well, that's a different thing altogether. But I mean, this is where most of us would need clip art. You know, we couldn't conceive of drawing these things, but we could join stuff together and make something else. So one of the things I've done before now is make a little sort of birthday card up front. So strangely, we'll use one that says make card. So we'll get some balloons. So that's some balloons, a bit too big. Do with another set of balloons. So select and duplicate those. And because we're being clever, we'll transform them by making a -1. We're getting used to this -1 now. It's a mathematical concept, isn't it? So we've got symmetrical balloons now. I mean, obviously you can choose anything you want for that. I'm going to say let's have teapots because I like a cup of tea with my birthday. That's a very big teapot. Well, in fact, I've got all the teapots. And what we've done, because I've not deselected one of my balloons, we've lost some of the balloons. So do we want that teapot or that teapot? So it's something to watch out for. So let's select, duplicate, and let's transform. We should have -1 still in there. Yeah, so I've got our balloons back now. But as I say, it's something you do have to watch out for a little bit, is making sure you've deselected objects before you put some more in. And I've got lots of food. Let's have a look at the lots of food one. Well, let's have, yeah, some of that. So there we are. So you might not want a cup of tea, you might want something a little bit stronger. So let's have a bottle of shampoos. Making sure we deselected that one first. And at a jaunty angle, possibly. And maybe a bit smaller. Let's have a look. So you can see if you put happy birthday, here's everything you could wish for. And maybe some other things like a car and stuff like that. But that didn't take long to join together, did it? It was fairly quick, I thought. So, yeah. Right, I think that's towards it. Yes, we've done PDFs. I'll just show you some computing pictures. That's been all that lot. Well, that's not it. You can see this one would be reasonably easy to draw. It's an Acorn monitor from days past. A good old 4 to 3 days. I'm sure we all remember those. Let's have a look at the computer. And again, similar. Be a bit tricky doing the curves to get the angles there, but you can see that's not too bad. There is an isometric grid you can use if you want to do like things at an angle both ways. What I've got in here. Oh, this is something I did. Let's get rid of that one. Just made some small icons. One of the previous jobs had a number of classrooms to look after, and basically what I want to do is make little pictures. You can see if we deselect these, None of them are big pictures. So if we're just going to choose this bottom one. I used to work in police training, and this is, if anyone of you been into a police station and been on the wrong side, you might have seen those as the transcribers for the tape recording of your taped interview. So, yeah, I've just made these very simply out of shapes. I've made them black and white because effectively going to be icons. It's going to be just on a sheet on the wall to say, yes, you've got a computer, you've got a camcorder, OHP, video, TV, computer, and in the good old days, a slide projector. I think that'll have gone now. So, yeah, it can be quite useful for doing that. I don't think I brought the music ones here. Oh, I have. Let's have a look at the music ones then. Let's delete all that. So a lot of you may recognise that. Reel-to-reel tape recorder. Mixing desk. And if we deselect that one. An amp and cab. The nice thing about these is they will reduce. They're sort of recognisable at large size, but if we zoom down, I have to do it that way, don't we? That's it. And get smaller and smaller and smaller. And you can still sort of recognise what they are at 1/6 size, can't you? 1/7 is going a bit far, I think. But you know, you just want enough detail to make something recognisable. Which one was it? Return to one, Control and D, it says. Oh no, because that's duplicate, depending on what you've done. That's where I went wrong last time. So it's Control and Q. So let's do that a few times. Or W. Get it right eventually. So yes, we duplicated that. Get rid of that. So you can see they're quite simple, but you can tell what they are. Most people who played in groups will know that as a valve amp top and a 4x12 cab. The mixing desk, well, it's a lot of sliders and a couple of meters, isn't it? So you don't have to make something complicated, particularly if you're only going to make it small, you know, as an icon. And it's a bit like trying to design icons for the icon bar, except I've gone even simpler than that. A colour palette of 3 colours, black, white and grey on that one. Just black and white on that. So there we go. So I hope you've found something useful out of all that lot. I say a lot of it is actually in the user guide, and I think that's now available in a lot of the distributions in the documentation. I can't remember if it's on this one. Let's have a look. Documents. So need it from, yeah, got the user guide in there. So it should be a bit, and we have a draw tutor, which gets you to draw this map. But you may well have all seen this before. And it does have some useful things in. Oh, just one thing I've remembered. If this is paint, we'll be able to rotate it. Sorry, yeah, so that's a paint. You can rotate it. If you have a JPEG, you can't normally. So if I dropped a JPEG into there, I do have some JPEGs somewhere. Yeah, you can see the horse and the lake view as sprites. So if I get something from paint, it should be lurking somewhere. Oh, let's put the old car in. So, right, so we've got a bit big, it's in there somewhere. We won't be able to rotate that, it won't have when it catches up. If it catches up, come on now, catch up. Right. You'll be able to resize it because you've got a corner down here. Let you do that. But you can't rotate it. Now, normally you don't want to, but you'd have to change that to a sprite if you wanted it rotated. Like we had that picture there. So that's something worth remembering. Normally it'd probably be a masked item, and this one's not masked, so we've got a whole background which would look strange if it was tilted a lot, pretty much like a tilted lake. So, okay, I think that's it. So I'll unshare my screen and stop sharing and open the questions if there are any.
You're just saying, Peter, lakes that are on a tilt are brilliant if you want to go water skiing.
Well, that's right, yeah. I still think the strangest sort of a lake, gone a bit frozen, is in Doncaster. I don't know if anyone's ever been to the Dome in Doncaster. It's got an ice rink or two at two different levels, joined by ice going down and coming up, which is quite interesting if you've ever skated on a lake before trying to ice skate uphill. Downhill's quite easy. The uphill's the tricky bit. I think it's the only one I've ever seen that's got an up and down on an ice skating rink. There you go. Well, I hope that was interesting. As I say, everything is in the manual somewhere, but sometimes you need to know, well, how do I start to even do this? So I've not gone into Bezier curves and things like that, because that does take quite a bit of time to sort out. But there we go. So as I say, just by being retired, I've managed to read the manual and work out how to draw straight lines, line things, and make arrows. So at the very least, I've learned that much. And even if that's how everyone else has learned that, still be a good start, I'm sure.
It reminds me of some years ago working with German colleagues in Hamburg, and sometimes you'd ask them a question as to how to do something on an analyzer. This is a clinical analyzer. And the reply would be, it is well descripted in the manual. Response would be, I'm sure it is, but where the bloody hell in the manual is it?
Well, as I say, like arrows, what is it? It's, I've forgotten the link now, but it's not so, it's style end cap, and then arrow off the end of that. So, if you look for arrows, yes, if you got the user guide, I think you can look under arrows and find it, but you wouldn't have even thought of it being there, because most people go, what's an end cap? Why do I need it? Oh, something that is useful to remember as well. If you've drawn an arrow, turn end caps off to but again, otherwise you get arrows all over the place where you don't want them. So, yeah. As I say, if you are
drawing an arrow, the irritating thing is that the end of the line is the back of the arrow, and the arrow then extends the line. And you think, wouldn't it be nice if the line just went to where the arrow ended?
Absolutely, I can't disagree with that. And it's one of these sort of like minor irritants. But if you've got a line, you can adjust the length of it, because you've got the arrowhead. You can select it much more easily if it was just a straight line. And in fact, one of the things I said, I think at the start, was don't ever use thin lines, because you won't be able to find them and nobody will be able to print them. So definitely go for 0.5 as you're starting, if not 1. And I've done 1 because you can see it a lot easier on the screen. And the other thing, of course, make sure you're not using the text that we started off with. And quite why it starts in that one, I don't know. But basically, all the other fonts you have will be scalable fonts, which was part of the reason I actually bought an Acorn in the first place. I was looking at desktop publishing. And at the time, I think both PCs and Macs didn't have fully scalable fonts. They sort of went like 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 24, 36, 48. And I went, if you want 47, looked on the Acorn system, let's have 47 point. Oh, right. So I think that one wins and the other two are in the bin. I think they might have gone a bit past now, but it's taken them a long time to get there. There you go.
Somebody mentioned a New Zealand connection, and I've just dug out from the shelf poster.
That's right, yes. I remember that one, yes.
That had the New Zealand connection as well.
It did, yeah. I think that's where you could use molds and things, couldn't you? So you can have letters going around a curve and things like that, or waves and what have you. Yeah, so much easier than trying to do it by hand. So I think those things were in the WROCC series of CDs. I think I've got WROCC, XE, and New Millennium, or something like that. They do have useful bits and bobs in them.
Right.
Yeah. I was interested to notice I've got the date I bought it was 1991.
There you go. Well, I think they all went to APDL at some point. A lot of these, he took a lot of these on. Well, when people said they weren't commercially available, I think a lot of the draw things
disappeared in a puff of blue smoke at that point.
Well, yeah. Having said that, I think I've got about 10 APDL discs, CDs, with clip art and, all the PD stuff that was on them. I think I've got a few of the DTPs, clip art and the games. But yeah, they did a lot of discs. I think it's probably maybe as many as 20. So probably between us all, we'll have all 20 of them. So I don't know whether they're worth sending off to the software preservation project, or whether there's a catch, of course, as per ever with copyright and people, not relinquishing it. Don't know, but if you're on APDL, it should have been PD. I think most of them were. I don't know if anyone else knows of the legality of all that. Presumably, if it was on APDL, David had a look at it, or he acquired the rights to them under his tenure. So, yeah, there we go. Right, so I think if there's no more questions, we'll hand over to Chris, and I'll sit and watch for a bit. A nice bit of break that'll be. Hello, Chris. Are you there? He's gone quiet. Where is he? He's not on my screen.
I'm unmuted myself.
All right.
You better mute yourself now, Peter.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Message to Peter there. Thanks, Peter, for a great talk.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Mark Stevens. Right. I will try and share my screen now. I'm having fun with this, but we'll see how it goes. Right. Don't want to share. Right. I'm doing that. I don't know. But anyway. Right. Okay. Hopefully you can see my lock screensaver. I will just unlock it.
Still got that rising damp problem, Chris, I told you about.
That what problem?
Rising damp.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Falling damp, definitely falling.
If anybody's wondering what that was lock screen, which I've set up on my machine. This is a screen of my old 4TE2, which I've now replaced with one of the new Next computers, which has got an NVM drive and compute module 4. This is just a straight Raspberry Pi 4B thing. Excuse me. I'm going to show a couple of things. Basically, I'm going to show Pinboard 2, which is actually running at the moment, but I'm going to update it to the very latest version and show you some of the new things. The Pinboard 2 7.04, 204, I should say, was excuse me, came out, well, I got last Thursday, Friday, as a beta tester, and I hopefully found a bug for them, which is why they produced a newer version. So at present,
Chris,
this is.
Sorry, Chris, can I just ask what resolution are you working in at the moment? It looks.
It'll be probably a high resolution, 2560 by 1440.
That explains it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 2K version. Normally, I'll be looking at this on a 32-inch screen, so.
Show off.
So it's a bit boss, but this is, I've just made a blank screen at the moment. At present, I've got, as you can see, it is running 202. Now, I've actually got a newer version, so we'll try and install it. Where we are, updates. Get the right one. Pinboard 204. Right, now, to update it, you just need to update boot. It does have its own manual. which I've never really read. I want to install it. I will drag it across, hopefully, and update it. Well, I'll show the agenda anyway. That's everything that gets updated, and merge it. And that's done the merge. Now, if it's done it right, I should have, hopefully. It's still showing 7202 because I need to reboot. So we're going to leave the screen for a minute, but hopefully it will reconnect automatically. This VNC software is the real VNC, which is supposed to be able to automatically pick up the connection. So we'll see what happens.
While you're on that subject, what VNC server are you using at the RISC-OS end, Chris?
But on which side? On the RISC-OS? On the server? That's side, on the server. It's the Jeffrey Lee's. I think it's Jeffrey Lee VNC server software. I have added on a front end that was done by Steve Potts.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
But that only works on the 4TE. Well, that bit will not work on the next, which I've not been able to work out why at the moment. It's taking its time. Yeah, it's reconnecting now. Hopefully, yes, here it has. It's reconnected. Got a little spot on it. Anyway, I should now be. Ooh, that's interesting. Never seen those spots before. 204. So it's literally about a week old. I don't know what those spots are on the thing. I've never seen them before. That's something new. Anyway, for those of you who've never used or seen Pinboard 2, basically it's a Pinboard replacement for the standard old Acorn, as I would call it, Pinboard. It makes it more like a Pinboard that you on a computer, whether it be PC or Macs or whatever. Main configuration window is this, which can be accessed also from the configuration option. It also has the Pinboard. It updates that. The normal Pinboard icon gets updated. So if I close that now for a minute, it's now updated. It would be updated version with different options. Now what you can see here, there are we've got a message in. This message. Oh, well, message back push draw. There are various options. You can have at present. I've just got a plain background. You can have custom images or standard image. And if I put a custom image on, now it allows me to drop on JPEGs or sprites. Well, let's put a nice picture on. Oh, they've gone now. But that is. I'm not doing full screen actually. Are you? Not sure why it's not showing it full screen at the moment. But anyway, to add on just a single image, all you need to do is drag it to there, and I want it full screen rather than centered, and I'll cache it. The caching idea is that it will cache the JPEG and turn it into a sprite. It's faster doing it that way. Now we can try it, or we can actually set it. Now if I just try it, so you can try before you think. So we've got a nice backdrop now thing, but you might fancy having a variety of pictures changing every few minutes or something. And you can do that by, instead of dropping that single picture on, you can drop a folder on. I will now try that. I'll probably make the same. We've moved on to the next picture automatically. And there we are, Ruth. Oh, I've I didn't save it. My fault.
Can't get the staff. Just can't get the staff.
So I'll do that. I'll full screen it. You can tile it, scale it, or whatever. I change the pictures every 300 seconds. You can change that. I don't know. I'll probably change it to. Well, let's make it 50 seconds. I'll set that. So it changes it. So there we are. Well, you're in action now. Zooming through space. I won't tell you where I nicked the picture from. But that's just one of the features, obviously. So you can do that in the configure option here. Now you can also a pinboard, so you can use pictures on the pinboard, and you can use font blending, standard theme. If I just you can also have large, normal, or small icons on the backdrop. Now you've probably seen one down there. That's actually one that's called test. But let's drag something else on there. Oh, there you are. Oof. You're above some planet now. If I wanted to I'll just drop it on here. I'll drop it on there. And I've got a pin picture. Now, if I wanted to, that's a large icon. If I wanted to change it to a normal icon, try it. It will change it to a smaller one. Or you want to go small, wouldn't recommend it, but you can go really, really small. I tend to have large. Makes them easier to spot. But you may notice the text. Now, the text I'm currently using is font blending for the text icon text. You can actually turn this off and turn this to draw outline, so you get a little outline around it as well. Got a little to enhance it, a little black line around each word, letter. Or you can use the standard theme. Oops, did I click on say? No, that's it. You've got a little black background, sort of grey background behind it. Or you can even change the colour of the text if you really want to. Let's have a look. We could change it to, I don't know, that one. Old looking colour, but never mind. And there you are. You have different colour text if you want. I'll go back to font blending, I think. So you can try before you save. Obviously, I'll turn that off, I think. On that one. Did I click on try? Yes, I did, but I've left the colour thing. So I want to make it, what was it, white, I think it was. Was it white? No, it was black, wasn't it? Not bad. You can do black. You can change it whatever colour you want, basically. That's not bad, actually. You can also arrange the pins, so the start and the top icon to the top right, that vertically left. Arrange pin objects to a grid. There's an invisible grid, so you can line them up. Try that, see what happens. Oh, not on it, must be already set down there. Make sure I'm clicking on try better. We also have, well, what would be called on the PC Windows side as post-it notes. You also have the facility to have stickies, post-it notes. I'll just save that at the moment for the changes I've made. Let's create a new sticky. Basically, it's just like a new sticky. You can put text in, whatever, more text on lines, etc. You can adjust the size, etc. Make it bigger, smaller, wider. You can also If you go over it, you can export it, full text or just a selection. You can delete a sticky. You can save, set a title, so I can put something like test. So now it says test. It's got a little star to say it's not saved. You just press F3 and it will save it. It doesn't do anything else. You can change the foreground color. So if I want to change that to say red, there we are. You can change the background color. Oops, I picked the wrong one there, didn't I? So I'll change the background color. I'll change the foreground color. Oops. Got the wrong way around. That wants to be red. Better. And the background color wants to be blue, hopefully. Oh, that's interesting. I think we may have found a bug. I think we found a bug. You can also change the font. So you can select which font you want. So if I want to change that to obviously a bit of highlight, I think you've got to highlight it, but you could have something like highlight. I have too many fonts to pick from here. Let's have a look. Bush script. Change. Yeah, you got a fancy bushy script. You can save it, as I say, pressing F3 should just save it, hopefully. Yes, you can see the dot's gone. And then configure, going back to stickies, it shows what the default font will be. You can change it here to something else and say, oh, there you are, the doctor's on Gallifrey now, Ruth. Anyway, you can also save it 12.100% aspect. It saves it to a location called Pinboard stickies thing. It's also got a Pinboard directory, which is where it saves these files. A file with a list of all the program positioned and that. And when you just quit the desktop, restart your machine or whatever, it automatically saves it. You don't have to do that. You can say get it to confirm it or turn it off. You can overwrite existing file or rename them. Now, another little feature is the watermarks. Now, it happened, I've actually dropped one already in there. Hopefully I've enabled. You can position it in different parts of the screen. So if I want it down there, let's try it, see if it'll work. Yep, there it is. I've set it as 70, no, it's 80%. If I wanted to say put it in the middle, there you are, and now move it in the middle. I'll say I'll move this thing out of the way and it should be in the middle. You can have it bigger. So I can make it 100%. Nope. Yeah. So you can save it wherever you want. Miscellaneous has all sorts of options. You can always confirm a delete. So you don't accidentally delete one. You can enable show hide all Windows key presses, so you can hide certain key presses if you want. I haven't bothered using that. Excuse me. Don't remove pins if dragging would adjust. As I say, it's self-explanatory. Allow dragging to copy lock pins, that you can lock them. I'll show you about that in a minute. You can control to import file being dragged. So you control import stuff. Display the information display over a pin. Now, if I hold this over the pin, it will show the location of where the file is. So you can see the file path. If you need, in case you've got two fold files with the same name, folders of the same name, you can find out where they are. There's even, I think, a little info screen that will tell you, it brings up more information about it. Quite useful. Treat double clicks as a shift double click, triple click, I should say, rather, as a double click, shift double click. Show the info thing. Now you probably saw, if I turn that off, I'll try that again. You'll see that the option had gone to the top of the menu. I'll put it back on again. There, back again. Obviously, D can be saved, and it saved various options. I'll set that. Now within the menu, you've got the display, so you can change them manually here to normal. When you change it to normal, or small, etc. I'll put it back to large, where 750. You can, whoops, you can select an item, and if you select an item, you get additional option. Very similar to a file menu, basically, in many respects. You can have option to tidy them, to tidy up the thing per the layout of where pins should be booked. You can open it, and so if I clicked on that, it would open up the folder WROCC SM. In this case, if I didn't click it, did I click it? Yes, it didn't. Doing that much better. It's a slow response to the VNC and the backdrop. You can also remove the shortcut, because it's only a shortcut, so you can make it. You can remove it without interfering with the program. So I don't know. I'll drop on PC themes. I'll put that one back on. Oh, over there somewhere. And you can lock the position so it can't be moved. So if I lock it, you see a different pin appears. That's now locked it in place. So you can't actually do anything. It will drop back to the same place. You can unlock the position. I don't think I've bothered locking anything on my normal machine. Oops. Well, you can align to the grid. You can give it an alias name. So you don't have to use that. You can actually change it, give it an alias. Call it, I don't know, my flipping pictures or something or other. Whatever you want to do. You can copy it. You can rename it. You can delete it. It'll do a count as well, so a count how much data is in there. So it's doing a much of a file, what does on the normal file menu, but you can do it on the desktop items. And obviously you can get info about it and change the type, stamp it, open the parent, and so on. Select all, obviously select all pinboard directory objects, or just the pinned icons. If you've got, say, an icon of a, I don't know, let's pick, let's have a look. One in here. So I'll pin that there. You can select, so you can actually pin pictures or whatever in backdrop. So that's all there. Now there is an option. Let's come out. You can create a new directory, which will be created and on the thing. So let's call, I don't know, wake, and we've got a folder called wake. It's now on the pinboard. It's actually saved inside the choices pinboard saved file. So I've actually quit, which is actually down there. So you can change that path in the configuration. Put it part of that one. So you could change where default is to something different if you wanted to. It's entirely flexible. You can also create a new sticky scene. You can open the Pinboard directory, which is the one that has all the source of all that stuff in, which is the folder I've just created there, plus the one there that got some test files I've put on. And you can reset changes. And you can save, if you want to save the Pinboard before you reboot the machine or whatever, you can do. If you're doing something and you're worried you might crash the machine, you can save the Pinboard. One other feature here, which is if you want to hide the thing, you can do this, what they call the show the Pinboard, which basically hides all the programs but just shows you the Pinboard, which is the picture, a frozen picture, and what you had of your images. Click on that and it undoes it, and you can see your files again. So just there's quite a bit of flexibility within it. Now, one thing I haven't shown is one of the new features, or update to one of the features. You may have noticed I showed this, and that the group of pictures can be there, and that, but you can also change this, the icon bar. Nowing. It calls the piece. So let's change this, I don't know, to I'll make it 80%. Let's try that. You may have noticed that it become more transparent. You can now see the picture behind. But you can now go one better than that. You have a completely transparent icon bar now, so you can see the whole picture, as you can see there, and you've still got your icon there. One of the things that came out with this particular A version of the 204 was the fact that I noticed when I got the original 204 was I still saw a very thin black line up the top of the icon bar. And apparently it's a hidden user interface option that, for whatever reason, the people who developed the icon bar forgot to provide the actual option to turn off the line. So they've had to do a little tweak within the program that if it goes below 20%, it will automatically remove that bit of the line now, so it's totally transparent. And that's the way I've got my screen now. I've made it so it all the way down. It's quite nice, although I think some of the icons need to be updated to be more high definition, but that's by the by. I'll save that. Now, you may remember I've said reboot, these will come back again. I remember all the stuff, so let's just give it a try, because I've now saved it. I'll lose the connection again briefly, but let's try. Around distance, could have got Irish loaded into there. I'll reboot. One of the advantages of using real VNC from this end is automatically picks up the connection after it's been rebooted. And because I have the 4TE automatically starting VNC server, when the machine starts up, it automatically all works. So let's hope that all comes up while waiting for it. There's some music going in the background. But yes, Pinboard 2 is developing, as I say. We'll probably have the new 2.4 out any day. The program who does it has been working on the NetManager part of the new Wi-Fi stack. Andrew Reaver, who's done a lot of other work as well. He worked on the global clipboard and all sorts of stuff. Unfortunately, he goes on holiday for about 8 weeks from this weekend, so there might be a little bit of a delay. It's taking a while to reappear. Ah, here it comes. And you can see it's all come back, what I saved. The stickies. You can have more than one, by the way, but you can have plenty of many stickies as you want. I usually have about 6 or 7 on my desktop, so you can save them. And I'll just free it, and it saves them all again. So there's a lot of flexibility, and it makes it thing. The idea of all the icons as well, you can put them all. You can also put applications. Just to make clear, you can actually put applications on there. So if I put, I don't know, let's see what I've got. Well, Risk OSM on there, didn't I? Yes, I can put Risk OSM on. There we are, on there, and that's pinned to the desktop as well. And to save that, I can save it now at this point if I wanted to. Just save that. The file is actually in the boot choices. Pling boot choices boot task. So you can get at it. As I say, there you can even run the program from here. So there you are, it appeared. Just to prove it, and I'll put in a postcode. I don't know, we'll be a 3, 4 there. A really nice secret location. And there you are. It just works. As you say, and you can have a whole variety of pictures. As I say, I usually have a load of fish tank photos. I've now added on the Doctor Who and Star Trek ones as a bit of bonus. I nicked the fish tank one from the PC, by the way. They're just JPEGs at the end of the day. They make JPEGs available. I just use them. They're not even Microsoft to actually get the images from things. So yeah, they are. If I go in there, they all can get the images. So, and so you can do backdrops and waterfall. There you are, the waterfall. So yeah. One thing Ruth was asking about the VNC server. On here, I've actually got the Steve Potts front end, which is only supposed to be for RISC-OS 4 and RISC-OS 6, but it does work on RISC-OS 5 on here. But this fancy front end for it, which you don't need, won't work on 530 on the new Next machine I've got for some reason. It'll run, but it won't actually put the icon on the desktop. So, and all I do is this thing. It's just a standard version available from that comes with the old RISC-OS machine. So, an Avalanche is the one that I can remote control. Can remote control of the machine. Right, that's really what I've looked at on the Pinboard. There are always in development, and that little possible bug we found, I'll make a note of it. I'll test it when it's not on a screen share, and if it's a bug, I'll just let Andrew know. They'll get it fixed. One thing they are looking at doing, but they've not got it out yet for the general release, there might be a couple of other new things added on, is a backup process for the stickies file. Some of the early versions of Pinboard 2 occasionally corrupted the stickies or made them too narrow, that they wouldn't open properly. The stickies apparently have been one of the biggest problems they've had producing Pinboard 2, because of the way our system works, and that. So yes, they think they were wonders at fixing these problems. The stickies are actually hidden away inside of Paul. If I go back, I'll go back a level, a couple of levels actually. That's the stickies file. And the problem was that was getting corrupted. I've now manually made my own backup when I do changes. I know how to swap them back over by deliberately crashing them, swapping them over, the file over, deliberately crashing, control breaking the machine. When it starts up, it picks up the fixed version of the sticky file. But they're going to come up with a proper backup system for that. So there, that's all I've got to show you on Pinboard 2. It is developing, and one of the nice features I say is now you can go totally transparent, which you couldn't do originally, and they've tweaked one or two other things to try and make them better. Now, for a brief look at the new Wi-Fi stack from WROCC Developments. I have got it already on here, but it's not the latest version. The new version, new beta, but again, I was testing it. I'm a beta tester for it. And they've now integrated the NetManager and the new stack, so it all gets packaged in one go rather than two separate packages. Currently, I better go finding it because I'm going to have to change it. I have NetManager in a separate folder somewhere. Have I moved it? I might have moved it actually. I copied a lot of files across to the new machine. I tidied up a few things while I was at it. Not on the internet. Network folder. Wonder where I put it. Can't remember where I put it. Oh, there it is. I can't see the wood for the tree. There's the old NetManager. Don't need it anymore. I can remove it from there. I'll delete that. Gone. Right. Now I'm going to install it. Now this will send the machine into a reboot. I know it will. It has to. So there it is. This is the very latest one. Now it can't be installed. This is a bug we have found because this uses SCSI, and I've had it changed actually. The next machine, of course, and some compute modules like the FAST and that use NVMe drives. And if I try to run it from within the zip file or an NVMe drive, it'll take it. It can't be run from there. That's a bug apparently, and it'll be fixed hopefully on the release version. In fact, some people with the new Pinboard Pro have found that error already. They've discovered it and reported it. What I'm going to do, I'll copy it, the install program. Right. I'm now going to run the installer and we'll see if it all works. I've not installed the new version on this machine, so it'll be interesting to test it. You can uninstall the old version or you can just install it. I'm going to install and then reboot. It warned me. Continue, yes, okay. It's now rebooting in the background. I have to update various modules and bits and pieces in the background. Hopefully it'll come back in a minute. This new version is, what is it, 706A, I think it is, if I remember right. It's certainly 706. It's literally days old. And now, as I say, integrated the NetManager into within the main network configuration tool. Again, and we'll see if we can get Wi-Fi working as well on it. But if the 4T has Wi-Fi, my next machine doesn't. I decided not to have the Wi-Fi module put in. So I've never tried this via VNC, just doing this little trick. So it's an interesting exercise. Yeah. So I beta test Pinboard 2, the Wi-Fi stack, and well, through a Pinboard. I tend to. I've beta tested Messenger Pro 703, 903, I should say rather, which is hopefully coming out soon. Fixes one or two little problems. It's been recompiled on a different machine, so and that seems to have fixed a few problems. It's taking its time to reboot. Hopefully, there it comes. Right, and we've rebooted, and hopefully now we are running the new Wi-Fi stack. Now, can't obviously see it from here, but let's go and look at the networking. Now, as you can see, it's changed. Where it used to have just the Ethernet, access and internet thing, it's now got an option for the NetManager. Presently it's set to legacy, so you can run NetManager separately if you want to. And if we go to internet, it's exactly the same as it would have been. Configuration. Obviously use DHP, still got the IP6. I can't use IP6 because my internet provider doesn't yet provide IP6. That'll be PlusNet. They are testing it at the moment. It's a bit of an oddity since BT, who own PlusNet, are using IP6 now. And curiously, PlusNet were the first people to test IP6 years ago before they got taken over by BT, who then stopped the trial. Anyway, so I can't really test it, although my router says IP6 is available. It's just doesn't go to the outside world. So I can't do that bit, but obviously you can see I'm using a wire connection at the moment, and you can see it transferring data in and out in the background. I can see the there you can see the Wi-Fi. We can actually see it, but because it's not enabled, it's not showing it. That's another new feature actually. Obviously you've got a normal routing, host names, no different from anything else, etc. And that access that and that. So that's pretty much the same as it would be. Now switch on that, and it switches to NetManager. Going to need to activate it immediately. And now if you look down there at the bottom of the icon bar, NetManager appeared and it's showing possibly found the Wi-Fi device. I don't know whether it's going to pick it up. It's seen my network. There you are, Ruth. Sorry, Ruth and me are Doctor Who fans. You can probably tell that. And it's a secure connection. It wanted me to put the key in. I'm not going to reveal the key because it's obviously for security reasons. But it will connect and thing. The other thing with the Wi-Fi manager, it basically now integrated. Instead of being two sets, it's all integrated, so it's nice and tidy and made thing. It's now from last week. And you still got the profiles and the interfaces, showing different interfaces. That one's the Wi-Fi, not the Ethernet connection, I should say, rather. And if I look at the other one, it will show me the Wi-Fi, and it's not got an IP address at the moment or network because it doesn't know anything about it. You can see it's obviously actually I sent data in and out actually. Problem with Wi-Fi and RISC-OS, it's not particularly fast. You have to have it fairly close to your router in some cases, not always. It will work 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. Mine worked at 5 gig here when I had it set up. I'll tell you what, I can do it. I can put the password in without you seeing it. So let's try it. See if I can do it. Make sure I've got. See if I've got the right. If I've got caps lock on, can't tell. Got caps lock on. Hey. Oh, I've got it. And it's connected to Skyrim. It won't be doing much because it probably that's connected because it's now connected by Wi-Fi and by Skyrim at the moment. But the Wi-Fi interface. Yep, they are. It picked up an IP address, DHCP address. It always shows that this bit doesn't work very well with Wi-Fi, but you can see it connected at green. See the status. Let's see, 72%, not bad. Using channel 44 and 5 gigahertz and WPA2, so you can see it actually works. And it's quite a good signal strength because it's within, I don't know, about 4 or 5 feet of the router. And actually using Wi-Fi, literally. It even works Wi-Fi, although I haven't tried this version, on the ARM-X6. Sorry, yes, the ARM-X6, which is, a lot of people don't realise it even has a Wi-Fi chip in. Only certain versions of it have a Wi-Fi chip in. It's incredibly slow because it has absolutely no antenna. It's about 500k, but it's better than nothing. I was quite surprised when I tested it on it that it found an chip. Only certain versions of the motherboard had a Wi-Fi chip in it. But it's still being developed, the Wi-Fi side. It only works for a certain, something that needs to be clear that not everybody seems to realise. There are various Wi-Fi chips around, and the one for this only works on the models, the Raspberry Pi and the Pinebook Pro at the moment. Pinebook Pro does use a different chip, but they've developed it. That's why it's not free for Pinebook Pro. If I do extra work, it costs more money. But all the Pis, all the Model Pis that have a Wi-Fi chip in should just work. What one or two people have had a problem with is when they try to connect to their router, they must have a very, very new router, is trying to use WPA3, which is not yet developed on RISC-OS. And in fact, a lot of routers don't even have it. My iPhone does support WAP3. My brother found out today when he just moved to full fiber today. And the thing was saying you're not connected to WPA3. But he's booted to Navi anyway, so we just had to reset it, his phone, and it's now working correctly. But that's it. There isn't much else to see on the thing. I do wish there was I've mentioned this too. Thing. There's actually a log file to show what's going on. You can see what's happening, showing all the connection, everything it's doing. So sometimes, if you have a problem, you might be asked to send the log file. See, it's set up a configuration. Knows the detail, sets up all the connection, found the SCARA. So you might have more than one network in the area. It's interesting, it's not picking up all the other network. In the area, I've got about 12 around here, so it's very crowded. Currently, you can also set up profiles. Now, the idea of that is that, say you use it at home, you use it at a cafe, especially if you've got Pinboard Pro, you might have it, or even if you've got an ordinary thing, you might take it to somebody else's house, you can connect to their Wi-Fi. The idea is you can set personal profiles up, but there is one. This one's using the default one, but you can edit the profile. And you can change the host name, local domain. I haven't updated mine. Picked a different one to mine. You can set it to automatically do certain things. The edit host file. Basically, the net manager is trying to take over everything that was on the old network option and configure, and bring the standard Ethernet and Wi-Fi all into one place. So you've got a step manager so you can manage all your facilities in one place. It's got ShareFS facilities. It shows it's enabled. Could you pick that up? You just put them in there and it automatically work. It's got a firewall. That's a new one for us. Thing it shows the settings I've got for myself. It picked up the details that I showed you from the old network configuration, and it then showed the Wi-Fi device, which has also picked up. It's also picked up the DHCP setting and put all the stuff in there. It allows you to do IP6 if you've got it, and do wireless network. You can add a network on and see what channel. Now 6 is interesting. The 6 is the 2.4 gig. So it can see that I've got both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, and here it's actually connecting to 5 gigahertz network, but it's also showing I've got the 2.4 available. So it can do either basically, quite happily. IP6, but I haven't got IP6, so no problem with that. You can add on another address for the same IP address, so you can have 2 for the same machine. Firewall, as I say, you can block, allow incoming traffic, block it. ShareFS, as you say, you can just set the shares up. DNS settings. You can edit the addresses here, so you could change on that. 192.168.1.2.4 up to without put the cursor in the right place, wouldn't it? Just add the address on and add on the other ones if you want to. So yes, you can edit the host file, and I've got some entries in the host file for different machines. I have a lot of machines here. It's pulled that from the host file. Again, it pulled it from the old network configuration. I can save the changes, or I can reset. Now I'll go right again. I've not tried this bit, so it's something new I haven't tried. Bring it back to this. Oops, now that's interesting. I have managed to lock the machine, I think. Yes, I think I have. It's not responding. Okay, let's see if Alt Break will work. Yes, it has. So it's the Wi-Fi that's objected to that. So I'll make that. It killed the Wi-Fi. If I bring that up, yeah, what I want to do is change it back to legacy, and it automatically changes it back to legacy. So you can switch back if you want. And if you, I'm going to turn it off. This bit isn't working yet. That may be a bug actually, so I may have to make a note of that to report it. I say literally, this is only came out a few days ago, so they were fixing a bug over the weekend for me. Really, that's really all it is to it. It's available. It works. Also, it is it created replacement modules for the resolver, message one, I think it's called, and the third one. I forgot what it's called now. The three main modules that are used for internet connection have been made share source. The original ones provided by Acorn were closed source and copyright of Ant. What was Ant Limited, who have now been taken over by a bigger firm. And you had to get an NDA to have access to them. Rule didn't own them, or WROCC Development didn't own them, the owner of WROCC. So that's why they made them open source, because it needs to be made open source, and you can just contact WROCC Development and they'll supply the source code for them all. It is available from virus. Whoops. Wonder why that happened. Okay. Probably something because I've cleared up a load of stuff. That's better. I cleared up a lot of stuff on the machine to do the demonstration. It's working now. Yep. And I've added some Club Zone stuff on there, but to get the downloads for Pinboard 2 or for the thing, you need to go to the WROCC Development website. Going slow here. Using a VNC Connect. Back out again. Not updating the. Oops, yeah, I thought so. It's the possible bug we found. I will quit it and relaunch it. It wasn't picking up the DNS. Oh, hang on a minute. That killed that. There seems to be a minor bug that means you have to sometimes have to reboot a second time after you've installed a new version of the NetManager. They're still looking into that because they're trying to work out why iOS is not automatically picking up the change. It should be. Yeah, it's not going to pick it up. I wonder if I can get it through. Where is it? You want to find it? Network. Internet, mobile internet. Let's have. Go for WROCC Development. Okay. I'm having the same problem. Couldn't connect to the server. It could have dropped the Wi-Fi. I think it's not. It's still trying to do for the Wi-Fi. All right, I'll shut down and restart it. Reboot again. Sorry about this. So I've got a couple of bugs to report in. Good test, this. Good testing. I will be, by the way, writing an article about using VNCs, about the various VNC servers going both ways. I use it both ways, both from Windows and from RISC OS, and I have no real problem with it. Like today, currently I've got 2 RISC machines on and 2 Windows machines on, and I can remote control them all from this one machine. Sometimes the screen withdrawal can be a little bit slow, depending on the machine. But I've even had a Zoom session running on today. I've had it running on the PC and on the laptop, and effectively running 2 sessions at the same time, and remote controlling it through a VNC connection. So that can be quite interesting. Just waiting for this thing to restart. Come on. One thing in general is that, and I think other people, 1 or 2 other people have seen it or commented on it, that they found the ROD stack to be more, RISC development stack to be more stable, reliable than the rule stack. Part of the problem with that is the rule stack is still, unless they changed recently, it's still dependent on the old resolver module and other modules from the stack, and there are known to be bugs in that. And the also thing is they decided to rush through the Wi-Fi, which is really stage 3 of the bounty. I think it's stage 3, before they've done stage 1 and 2. I won't go into the politics of that. There seemed to be some strange politics going on in the background on that. It just seemed to me a waste of resources, but that's politics for you. Come on. Just waiting for the machine to wake up. Come on.
While you're waiting.
Oh, there you are. Finished share start. I didn't want to do that. Let's kill the screen share with this. Go back. Oh, right, done that. Okay. Okay, it's killed the screen. Didn't want that. VMBC, that's the one I want. Don't want that one. I want the 4TA. Okay, yeah, I crashed it completely. Well, yes, I have. I crashed the. I managed to crash the. Oh, yes, I have. I managed to crash the 4TA. I'm just manually restarting it by the old trick of turning it on and off. So I have to wait for it to come up. But this is the real VNC thing I use on the PC side. And you see I've got one set up for both the 40EE, the Next, my Cube and ARM-X6. On the other machine I have one for the laptop as well. So it's free. They keep trying to get you to get a subscription account, but I refuse to do that. Let me just think. I'm just switching screens on the machine. Yeah, that's come up now, so I could be able to go into that. Right. Can you now see the enterprise? Can you see? You're not seeing the screen? Ah, right, okay. I'll stop sharing for a second and click sharing again. Right. Can you now see it? Yeah, good.
Yes.
Yep. Right. Hopefully now it will work. Where was it? I'll have it. And how it's going to work. Yeah. Oh dear, looks like it's still playing on. Oh, that's why it picked up the. Okay, well, because it crashed. It. Okay, well, let's see if it'll work then. Here's it working now. All you need to go to the ROCC development website and project. Now, don't just go to that. Just go to projects. Ignore the thing. You get access to both the Pinboard 2 download and the new TCP stack. So it's all there, downloaded. By the way, if you want it from try to download it from iOS, you need to right click to do the actual download. That catches a few people out. There's nothing thing. List a supported program, machine, as I say rather, and it's very straightforward to install. In fact, you've got 706A, which is the new version they've been showing. They don't really need that because it's supposed to be all on that now. And source code availability is there. I want detail the cogwheel. It's all there, thing, and it's very straightforward. And if there's any problem, just let them know or report through the bug reporting system. And I'm sure any problems will be fixed as soon as possible. Really, that's all I've got to say on the thing. So I'll stop screen sharing at this point, and whenever we've got any general questions, I'll try and answer them. Yeah.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Have you got any update on the PSTN stuff?
On the which, sorry?
PSTN.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry, quite correct. Sorry, I've forgotten about that. The main thing is on that is they are still doing the switch to digital for everybody. They can do it, but people who have care line services like the emergency pendants or other care line services provided by some councils and independent firms have been given an extra year. They will, for the time being, allow them to stay on old analog lines. But the reason for the extra year is simply because the care line firms and councils have not bothered preparing for the switch. They've been aware of the switch due for at least 8 years, and basically they've done sweet all about it. The main manufacturers, Tonsil and that, have had digital versions of their equipment available for some time. I was told about a month or so ago that some people like council were still installing analog versions up to December last year, even though they knew they'd have to be converted to digital. Basically, apparently the analog devices were about 10x cheaper to install. But everybody is wherever you are. If you move into a fibre area or you become part of a fibre area, you will be moved, if possible, onto a digital phone line.
Does that include fibre to the cabinet?
Yes, it can. Fibre to the cabinet is big. If you're in a what happens if you're in a full fibre area, just like my brother had today. He was in a fibre to the cabinet thing, and they've now rolled out full fibre to his estate. It's coming up for renewal, and they said, right, you need to go full fibre. We're not longer.
I understand that.
They will allow you to renew it if you really push, but you'll find it probably cheaper now to get full fibre than it is to get fibre to the cabinet in many cases.
It's not an option because I live in a block of flats, so we can't have full fibre.
The block of flat situation is very complicated because only certain firms seem to be wanting to do multiple dwelling units, as they call them. They don't call them flats, they call them multiple dwelling units. Posh name for flats. Basically, certain firms will provide it, but a lot of it depends on the landlords or the management agents giving waylay permission for the fibre to be installed. Now it gets complicated. If you just want a phone line, you don't want fibre, then they've already got a phone line in, and technically the landlord or management agent can't stop the line being converted to a digital one. But
they can.
A digital one, you have to put a box on the wall in wherever they have it, in a storeroom or whatever, in the multiple dwelling. And that seems to be where some hiccups are going. Basically, the management agent or the landlord has to finally approve it. And sometimes they're saying, oh, well, they let you use Virgin Media or some other firm. They won't allow OpenReach or whatever, or your firm. You may say, I want to go with these people. But no, you have to go with these people. The only people. Apparently, housing associations are the worst offenders for that. They're saying, no, we've done a deal with this firm. You have to use them. Because of choice.
We're in charge of our own management company. And at the moment, the copper wires are all buried in the walls.
Yeah.
And if any new lines have to be laid, they've got to be buried. And that's really difficult in an existing building. So we won't allow them to do it unless they can bury them. Yeah,
well, this is where they will probably put it. They depend on what's in the wall. If it's actually a ducting within the wall, they might have to feed it through the ducting. Multiple dwellings has become a nightmare situation. Because, as I say, a lot of landlords, management agents don't seem to want to do anything about it. They're dragging their feet in many cases. That's why a law was passed a couple of years ago to try and get round this, that they have to respond to the waylay request, which allows them to put the things on private property. Similar problems can crop up with people who've got underground ducting to their houses. My brother's got that today. He just had fun. It turned out the neighbours had gone and dumped through the bloody ducting. But people don't want their drive dug up, basically. But yes, multiple dwellings is a big headache, and there's no easy answer for it. There was a firm that was actually specialising in acting as the in-between between management agent, landlord, and the customer communication providers that they're now called, ISP to you and me. But that has decided to pack it well, it's just announced last week that they're going to stop doing it because it was becoming such a nightmare. And only 2 or 3 firms were actually interested in multiple dwelling units. Sometimes they get into them, take too long to process, so they skipped them. So they'll be caught up at the end. So the care line stuff, which is causing a problem because the people haven't been prepared for it. They're still converting, and you've got to remember there's 2 different things going on. There's the switch off of the public switch telephone network, the analog phone system, that's being delayed by up to a year, primarily to deal with the care line people. But also, you have to remember things like traffic lights, motorway cameras, controlled via cable, copper cable. The Highways Agency, is that what it's called now? No, sorry, National Highways that they're now called, have only just signed a contract in April this year for somebody to come around and work out how they're going to convert all the cameras and motorway signs to digital. Councils haven't even started thinking about sorting out how they're going to convert all their CCTV and traffic light thing. And really, they've had 10 years to sort this out, and they ain't done anything about it. And apparently, the care line people, some of them have turned around to the government and said, "Oh, we don't want to pay for it. Openreach and the government can pay for it. You can pay for it. We don't want to bother." And apparently, from what I hear, might change after tomorrow. The government turned around and said, "No, your equipment, you're responsible. You should have started doing this 5-6 years ago." Because the digital equipment will work on an analog line anyway. So the 2 primary areas of problem: multiple dwelling units, because of often lack of cooperation and trying to get wayleaves, and sometimes taking too long to happen. And of course, the care line things. The wayleaves can be either for the phone line or for the full fibre part. It can be either, but anybody requesting a new line will get offered a fibre line, and that's where you get problems with the multiple dwelling. They need to get wayleave from them. Thing. I might get round to writing a specific article about the multiple dwelling, but it needs a lot of research into that because it's very, very complicated. It's tied up in legal knots, basically. Various firms have tried different ways of handling it. It's a nightmare. But what they are doing with phone lines, where people have just got pure phone lines, they don't want anything. They get a basic broadband connection, and they're rolling it out to people area by area. It is 2 different changes going on at the same time, which has confused a lot of people. Not the digital phone line is not necessarily the same as the full fibre, although it goes down a fibre line. It is 2 different programs of work.
It is a great pity that they haven't taken the secret flag off this, because there's no information available about it at all.
Yeah, I know. I understand, Chris. It's a problem that's basically a nightmare. And basically what keeps happening is they keep pushing it to the back. So you might not get changed to 2030. They may not. Once they hit the 85% mark for full fibre across the country, then it starts going into slow changes till 2030. The remainder will get done up to 2030.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've got 70 megabits per second on fibre to the cabinet, and I certainly don't need any more. And a 2-bedroom flat probably doesn't need any more. So I'm not the slightest bit inclined to go to full fibre.
One thing is that that the same sort of argument my brother just had with me until recently is he gets about, we was getting 57, he's now getting, as of today, is now about 2 hours ago, he's getting 300. The thing is, full fibre is not subject to the weather. So where old copper connection underground can often get water in the ducting and to the chambers and that can cause problems and reduce your speed. Full fibre is not affected by that. So it tends to be more reliable. It's now cheaper. Maintaining copper services is becoming very, very expensive. And copper is also expensive. That's why it keeps being nicked. That's why people were, was it in somewhere down in Cambridgeshire, 70,000 properties were cut off from phone lines and broadband because some thieves broke in and ripped out all the copper wiring. It was an organised gang. They managed to open up loads of inspection chambers. I wouldn't call them manholes. Inspection chambers, and ripped out all the copper for about 3 miles.
They did Mum and Dad's village 3 times in 9 months until they had to put the fibre into the village because they just kept the copper ripped out the ground.
Yeah.
We had the same here in Surrey with loads of, I think it was 3 times. The first time they cut the cable but didn't get it out. The second time they got it all out and it was replaced, and that new one went as well.
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking about your flat situation. You can now get, obviously, mobile broadband. Will that be the answer? Let's do that.
That is another answer for some people. That's what some people are doing. They're getting 4G routers and connecting to thing. Andrew K.
Well, I mean, basically, the landlord could offer that, and he doesn't have to do anything. You just get a box each, don't you?
Doesn't work, I'm afraid.
No.
The mobile reception in this block of flats is appallingly bad.
That's the catch.
That's just not an option.
Yeah, it's another one of those problems. Not everywhere gets good coverage indoors because of the walls, etc.
It's a concrete frame building.
Yeah,
right.
And there's a huge amount of shielding there.
Yeah.
Foil-back plasterboard is another problem.
Yeah, it's another one of those problems. It's like a lot of people don't understand about the Wi-Fi speed. They think they've got again, it's 900 meg broadband. Oh, why am I only getting 200 meg on my phone? Because that's Wi-Fi. It's shared between all the Wi-Fi devices in your house, in your property. And you might be getting interference from other properties that are also using the same Wi-Fi band, and it also depends on which level of Wi-Fi you've got. Still quite a few people out there with Wi-Fi 4, which is the old 802.11n. And it's a very common problem. People do not understand the speed you get it to your router, not to your Wi-Fi.
Well, the router companies are also very devious in that the way they quote the numbers is borderline illegal. They add the 2.4 gig and 5 gig speeds together, even though you can't combine them, and advertise that. And if they do a mesh system and they put multiple units in one box, they will advertise that as, if you say four devices each doing 1,500, that will be sold as a 6,000 speed box, when each unit is not capable of doing any more than 1,500, which you then split across the 2.4 and 5. So I mean, it's just gibberish. Yeah,
it's misleading advertising. Basically, it's marketing. I say misleading, perhaps not the right way. It's marketing, inverted commas. There's an awful lot of that goes on, unfortunately, in the
lying, as it's more commonly known.
Yeah.
No, surely you mean untrue thing.
Well, unfortunately, one of the other thing, I think one of our members was mentioning they've got an exchange only line down in Sheffield, somewhere in Sheffield. It's saying, oh, we won't be getting full fibre. Then actually, in fact, you will get full fibre. They're getting rid of all exchange lines because your exchange probably won't exist in 3 or 4 years' time anyway, because they're getting rid of 4,500 exchanges, and the country only have 500 in total for the whole country. Full fibre doesn't come necessarily from your local exchange; it comes from your head end exchange. I think in here, I think Wakefield is a head end exchange, it's a rare one. But I know some people who are getting their exchange, they're getting their full fibre from 30, 40 miles away. Doesn't matter with full fibre. It's the full speed where fibre to the cabinet is only fibre as far as the cabinet and become copper. So you might get fast speed up for the cabinet, but then it depends on the quality of the copper and the distance from the cabinet.
So do you know about the satellite systems, Chris? Because I know they used to have this once upon a time, didn't they, for rural areas where there's no chance of getting anywhere.
That is another one where, and in fact, it's being pushed in 1 or 2 areas where it's just not going to be economic in some of the really, really rural areas, probably in Scotland to some extent, where it's just not going to be economic to lay the fibre cable. They're suggesting satellite internet, possibly through Starlink. But that tends to be a bit expensive by my account.
Well, the argument will be, I mean, if we're looking at Chris's block of flats, if the landlord's not happy to drill holes all over the place and then go with a particular provider, if you get a satellite on the roof,
you're
a lot quicker.
But then you still got permission, got to get permission from the landlord.
Right.
And then have some way of getting the thing down to your property, to your flat. It's still got the same problem.
It's
like Sky dishes.
We've got a Sky dish on the roof,
there you go.
And they've managed to superimpose the satellite signal onto the coax that brings the TV aerial.
Yes.
So that each flat gets 2 Sky feeds, so they can have Sky Plus, as well as the aerial feed, all down the same cable.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be able to put a phone on it as well.
No, well. Again,
perhaps you need a big switch
embedded in the walls or whatever.
You need a big switch, phone or Sky.
Yeah. The other thing is, of course, Sky are slowly trying to get rid of the satellite.
Yeah, but this
is where trying to push everybody onto their Sky stream. So
this is the interesting thing, isn't it? It will become a fail dangerous system. Well, we know in a way that the internet's not fail dangerous because you have to blow up multiple routes.
Yeah.
But as I say, I keep going back to this when we had the Northeast. Oh, we've had a fire on our transmitter. That's lost all the radio stations.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, because the electric's gone off, that means you've got no water, which also means you've got no gas, which means you've got absolutely nothing. So it's like a failed dangerous system. I'd say 2 systems are better than 1. So, have a backup of, you could use this satellite for something, maybe.
Well,
but if the power goes off, you lose everything digital.
Oh, yes. Unless there's the thing about the care line.
Unless you've got a UPS, which I have, and when power went off last week, I carried on looking at the internet. My phone still worked. All was good because I have a UPS.
Yeah, but it's interesting. The care line system that they're looking at going over to digital on, they're looking at giving you a 1 hour battery backup. And as I said before, if you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, you sleep till 8 in the morning, and the power went off as soon as you switch the light off. You need 10 hours backup, don't you? In fact, you might as well have 12.
Well, they are looking at alternative, more powerful UPSs.
I'd say minimum of 12.
Because of the storms in Scotland and what have you, the government ordered a review of how that was done. But there is a cost to it.
Surprise.
They provide a basic. The alternative is they provide a mobile phone, a basic mobile phone. That's dependent on mobile tower still having power. Now,
this is the other thing. Chris was saying, he doesn't get good reception. My girlfriend doesn't, and basically she's on the care line thing because she might fall.
Yeah.
And if they're saying you've only got an hour on your thing, or even if you had like 5 hours, she can't ring on a mobile phone because it doesn't work. She has to leave the house to actually get a guaranteed good signal.
Yeah.
So basically,
This
it's all feel dangerous. Basically, the bean counters have been in and said, "Oh, this will all work. Off you go," and it's a heap of crap. They should have asked all the people ages before and said, "Right, this is the plan. Work with us. We'll get something sorted." And just said, "No, you're having this. That's it."
The latest idea is to try and get the mobile mast people to install generators and proper backup system, but they don't want to do that because it costs them money.
Oh dear!
But their profit margins hurt the profit margin. Shareholders won't get a bigger payout, so they don't want to do it. They're arguing the government said, "Oh no, we don't want to do that. It costs us too much money."
I think I'd say to them,
you're going to have to, because it's now the mobile mast system is now part of the emergency service network.
Yes.
Or when they ever get it completed for the police, ambulance, and fire service. But on top of that, it's part of our emergency warning system.
Oh yeah.
But if they really,
they're part of the emergency warning system, which they tested last year, and I forget which firm didn't have. I think it was Vodafone's mast didn't operate properly.
Yeah,
mine got all right.
Yeah, I mean, what they actually want
about a minute late, but it came through.
You want satellite phones for every local district council in their emergency room. And if you haven't got that, you're wasting your time.
Well, I don't know where you know, but some of them, not this one, but some of the iPhones are now effectively satellite phones in emergency. So instead of using your mobile to contact your local mobile mast, it calls via satellite. It calls the satellite.
Right.
Emergency services. And apparently that's going to become standard. All the providers in the US have now agreed to do that. So more and more phones will now become basically satellite phones.
Heck, somebody's done some joined up thinking. My goodness, what went wrong there?
I don't know, probably.
Call me a cynic.
I think Apple pushed it because Apple were the first people to introduce it. Now everybody else has decided to join the bandwagon. Yeah. Where Apple goes, everybody follows. Or nearly always follows.
Well, it's interesting.
The lightning connection.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, it's a case of there are problems. It's like where was it? In Switzerland. Yes, Switzerland have announced that from I think it's the end of this month, end of July, they're turning off all FM radios. All DAB. It'll be all DAB plus from then. It'll all be digital radio. You will not be able to use FM radio or medium wave radio in Switzerland.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, won't it? Because they chew through batteries in an emergency, don't they? And you won't have enough batteries.
It's interesting.
AM1 lasts about 8 times longer on the same battery.
Apparently, other countries are also planning to do it, so it's going to happen. It's like terrestrial TV. Now, I know we're going off a tangent here, but I'll mention it. Terrestrial TV. They reckon that we will not have terrestrial TV in the UK in less than 10 years. It might be gone by 2030.
Already gone. It's already gone. They've already turned off the terrestrial TV.
I meant the physical terrestrial TV, but that will be turned. Everybody will be getting their fixes via streaming through the internet.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, I can see that working. All I know is my mate Dave.
Basically, you can all begin to use your streaming service. You're going to be Netflix, Amazon, all the rest of them, including the new one, Tubi from Fox. That's coming in next month.
It sounds like a megacore takeover somewhere along the way that we missed. Is it 1948 or 84 or 2000? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't believe big business could be taking over the world.
It's Orwell's ideas.
Yeah, 1984.
Yes. Yeah. Just a bit late.
In 1948, which is why he called it that way.
But the world is changing, and we don't
Not
like
for the
it.
better. No.
Yeah.
I'll go to my mate Dave's house. He's got his own satellite and long wave and medium wave and FM radio ham set up. So
yeah,
I'll just be able to talk to people that way.
Yeah.
I'll not watch any Netflix ever.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested.
What was it? I think it was the Falklands War? I think it was. The radio ham in Port Stanley was the first person to tell the world that the Falklands was being invaded by the Argentinians before we even got the official message up to the Foreign Office. They were broadcasting it, and they were able to carry on broadcasting even after, for a while anyway, not for long, but a while after Government House got taken over. And it often has been used, even in this country, if there was a nuclear attack, the amateur ham radio people were often our backups. I know that for a fact because I went down where I used to work a few years ago now in Brighouse. I worked. A lot of people didn't realise it, but I did because I recognised the type of building. We actually worked on top of a nuclear bunker. They didn't realise to build a brick building with a door. I thought, that's a lead door. Yeah, that's a entrance to the bunker. I won't go into the story about the one GPO go BT guy, but that was an interesting experience. Don't want to repeat that one too often. When the SAS come in, but yeah. Well, I will mention it. It's a good story. We were going home time for a lot of staff, about 3:30, getting on for the thing, and suddenly we seen a GPO van come in, and a guy had the right paperwork to go into the bunker. So he had the access key, went in, and of course it was linked to a transmitter, which was in our tower. I was replacing a phone, getting very old thing, and MOD knew it was happening. It was constantly monitoring, of course, and somehow or other, the engineer cut the wrong cable.
And the missile was launched.
The result from that was that it triggered off an alarm at MOD. Next thing, we had a police station that turned out around the corner. Next thing we saw police cars, and we were outside a roundabout. Our offices were outside a roundabout. Police cars without sirens and lights going, blocked off all the exits from the roundabout. Next thing, we get a helicopter coming over, low, with guys hanging off ropes in full black kit, balaclavas, armed to the teeth, come down the ropes, and we're going, what the? I won't use the language we use, but basically we all dive to the ground.